Alright, we are recording, continuing in Going Medieval. I know I kind of slurred the syllables together, but yeah, continuing in this. Cues originally provided by Tinsley PR. Do have a few things to talk about. A couple of them I know I can probably rant on. Unfortunately, one's a rumor, two others I'm not really sure what the sources are, which is part of the reason why I'm not putting those in the Friday write-up, though I may change my mind if I can find a good source. And one of them I should be able to find it. It's just, it's finding a good source that's gonna be the trick there. Anyway, starting with the rumor. Rumor is, AMD might be dropping RDNA 5, I think is what I was seeing. Maybe it was RDNA 6. But might be dropping that from the schedule to move up the UDNA architecture, which, that's just... Sorry, I'm just noticing that. I guess it's eating something there. It's eating the hay. Alright. I don't remember what it is I'm doing here. But yeah, so just quick recap. Actually, let that go. The GCN architecture was very, very good for compute, which was actually, in a way, good timing for AMD, because things just are shifting more towards doing compute for graphics, which is part of the reason why some of the GCN architectures, some of the GCN GPUs when they released, were kicking NVIDIA's ass, actually. Unfortunately, other things also were happening at the same time. The Bitcoin mining and then later Ethereum mining that really ended up hurting AMD. Yeah, because remember, I think it was the R9 200 series, they had a $500 GPU that would compete with NVIDIA's Titan, which was $1,000. Yeah, I'm saying AMD was technically killing it there, but NVIDIA still had mindshare, and also that was right in the Bitcoin mining, so the compute power was being bought up for that purpose, so gamers couldn't get their hands on it, so AMD was not as helped as they would have wanted. Yeah, but they learned their lesson, and when the Ethereum mining craze happened and then that crashed, they weren't hurt as badly. NVIDIA was. I saw something not that long ago that apparently there is still a lawsuit about all that. That's just wild. Anyway, but yeah, so they split, giving us RDNA 1 with the AMD RX 5000 series, the Radeon RX 5000 series as first RDNA. 6000 is RDNA 2. 7000 is RDNA 3, and RDNA 4 is coming. And I have written down RDNA 5, but it might be RDNA 6 that they may be dropping to do UDNA, where they're going to reunify, because RDNA was graphics focused, while the CDNA was developed, which is basically more directly off of GCN, to be compute focused. So that's like when Amazon is buying GPUs for doing compute work, they're buying CDNA, they're not going to be buying RDNA. But AMD wants to unify again, and this is very normal practice. NVIDIA does it as well, and as I've commented in previous weeks, it is amusing how they seem to always reflect each other. Okay. When AMD splits is also when AMD unifies. When AMD splits is when NVIDIA unifies. When NVIDIA splits, AMD unifies. It's just, and NVIDIA is in fact working on splitting again. And it does make some sense, because where was it? Somewhere I saw somebody trying to say that, because they're claiming it'll be easier for developers, in that kind of snide tone. It's like, well, no, it actually is, because AMD made the point that CDNA and RDNA are getting different enough, and they're trying to bring in compute aspects of CDNA to RDNA, because there are benefits to that. A normal GPU does still need compute capabilities, but because they're being developed so separately, that some of the optimizations, some of the API features and such are they're getting very muddy and messy, because you have certain standards and practices with one team, certain standards and practices with the other team. So you unify it, so now it's all going to be a bit easier to access all that, to take advantage of the hardware, and yeah, it does make a lot of sense them doing this. For that reason. For the reason of making it easier on people. So yeah, rumor is that they will be moving up UDNA, possibly 2026 Q2 shipping, and also possibly the rumor was saying the PlayStation 6 might be using it, which that would be a reason that AMD does this. That AMD would move it up because the contracts that they have with Sony and with Microsoft are lucrative. If I remember correctly, like what I was talking about with the 200 series, if I remember correctly, part of that was a bad time for AMD because that was also when they had Bulldozer and those architectures that were not liked on the CPU side. Like there were definitely issues. I mean, they weren't bad, but they were not that good, and they did not compete very well directly with Intel. And especially because, yeah, you might have times where it's like it is faster, but it would also be using like double the heat, and double the power and putting out double the heat. So they worked, but they definitely had problems. But one thing that I do want to point out, I think it was an excavator, which is one of the variants of Bulldozer. The Bulldozer might have been Pile Driver, but one of them was actually the first. Was it 5 gigahertz? I'm trying to remember which it was. It was 5 gigahertz, 4 gigahertz. But AMD actually had that first, as far as the first production CPU to hit that milestone. But some people actually attribute it to Intel because people just don't want to remember that Bulldozer existed, essentially. Which is, not fair, but is what it is. Don't need the barley. Don't need cabbage seeds or carrot seeds. I'm happy for the apple seeds. Don't get me wrong. Very happy about that. I don't think I need to worry about food, so I'll leave the fish dish alone. You don't need the wooden traps. Okay. Well, they would still be wearing the winter clothes, so I know I can sell that stuff. How much? Okay. Yeah. Oh, wrong thing. Let's do that. They can get a little bit extra out of me. That's fine. Oh, that's right. Yeah, so at that time, it was actually their I'm pretty sure I'd heard that it was AMD's contracts with... That would have been the 360. So not with Sony yet, because that wasn't until PlayStation 4. But it was that really kept the company afloat. That console contract. So yeah, and now, of course, AMD is quite powerful because of Zen being a wild success. And its derivatives. The GPUs are not necessarily doing as strongly as perhaps they should. Mind share is a hard thing to overcome, but it's still those are doing okay. And the CDNA stuff and all, I mean, it's like AMD's in a much better position. But still, yes, they would if Sony's like, yeah, so we're interested in this architecture. Great, we'll love to get that working for you. We'd like to have it shipping now. We'll make that happen. Yeah, we how big is the check? Yeah, we can make that happen. I mean, it's like that is how something will go. I mean, that's Intel, if they were getting the offer, same thing with them. Also, NVIDIA, I mean, yeah. Hang on, just very high. That, let's actually set this to low. It is spring, so it is still kind of cool, so I do want to keep them going, but it's not as high a priority. I do want them filled, though, which, unfortunately, is Steward, one of the last things here, because this is stupid. Yeah, so I want to skip that one for now. The main thing that I know I will be able to land on just because I have a typo in here. Even though it's my notes, I still want to fix it. Anyone else like that? Wait, even if it's you're not going to be confused, no one else is going to be beat, you still got to fix it. So supposedly, and I don't know the source for this. I don't, and I'm also not sure how I can find it necessarily. But supposedly, yeah. Let me pause here. I'll try looking up on the desktop. Steam Season Pass. Okay. Because I think what I was seeing was somebody just passing around like an image on. Oh. Like an image somebody was sharing on Twitter, but I don't. Okay. So it is in the partner. Okay. Okay. Good. So in this I should be able to add. I'm gonna have to rewrite the Friday thing a little bit. This is why I put it out after. Okay, because I legitimately didn't know where it was, and it wasn't one of the things I got links for. So anyway, Valve has apparently changed their requirements for if you do a season pass for your game, where now it does actually, in bold, it even says, by offering a season pass, you are promising future content, and this would be for the developers and such, or to Valve's point of view, partners. In the process of launching a season pass, you will be asked to commit to a launch timing for each content release in the season pass. That launch timing is a commitment to both customers and Steam. If you aren't ready to clearly communicate, about the content included in each DLC and when each DLC will be ready for launch, you shouldn't offer a season pass on Steam. So it's basically saying that season passes have to have declared content and a timeline. And I think I had also seen somebody else mentioning here. Okay, it might be lowered down. Something else I had heard. Oh, here we go. Might be in here. Delaying or canceling a DLC in season pass. You are allowed to self-reschedule. Okay. If you think you aren't going to be able to release a DLC into the season pass by the quarter you promised, so that's important. So that might be, like you say, yes, we're expecting to ship this DLC in this quarter. You can pick a new date up to 3 months later than you originally selected. If for some reason you need to delay more than that, you need to contact them directly. If you cancel a DLC in a season pass, customers will be offered a refund for the value of the unreleased DLC. Thought I heard something. Oh yeah, the release date. We will allow you to reschedule the release date one time only during the season pass. I don't know if that would be per DLC, but so basically that is stating that yes, we understand things happen. You can change it once, but you can't string people along. So I'll have to read more of that, but it might be in here. Okay, even if there has not been a customer complaint, Valve may take action if you delay a DLC more than a quarter beyond the release window you originally promised. So yeah, that's quite a change. I don't know if I've been burned by any season passes I purchased. I also tend not to purchase them. The closest would be, and that was more the game burned me as well. Doom Eternal. I don't think that's that good a game. And I did buy the highest level, so I got the season pass in there, and I'm not touching that DLC. I don't give a shit. I don't care for the game. And it's also one thing that I saw them talk about being offered in it. It's like, yeah, that they didn't. One of the things I hated was I don't remember the name of it, but the enemy that has an impenetrable shield that it lowers infrequently, powerful weapon. I'm trying to remember. It was also able to move around very rapidly and could summon a pet dog. This is essentially a very high. It's a high-level mini-boss because it's not a boss. It throws in just anyway. They decided, oh yeah, and literally, there was an interview with one of the developers who was like, yeah, our players really hated that thing. So in the DLC, we decided to have you fight 2 of them at the same time. It's like, so you don't like your game. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry. That's the people who paid us hated this design. So we're just going to turn it up. It's like, what? That's not what the answer is here. It's not. But that's what they did, and it pisses me off. So yeah, I'm not touching that. And it's like, yeah, I lost out of money on that because I had to buy that game. But I mean, I did review it. But I did have to buy that game because I didn't have a contact. I mean, that's fine. I didn't mind spending the money because I really like Doom 2016. That's fantastic game. Very easy to recommend that. Doom Eternal is nowhere near its equal. Not even close. So yeah, I knew when I pre-ordered the game, it might not be that good. It wasn't. It's what it is. I don't know how well this would. Well, no, this wouldn't apply because it was quality, not timing. But yeah, I don't think I've had another season pass experience that was negative. When was the only? I bought a season pass. Oh wait, well yeah, that's true. Technically, I have the season pass for Sins of Solar Empire 2. Because I did buy the love for that. So I'm paused because I'm just thinking. Just Cause 3, I'm pretty sure I got the game key that was provided. I'm pretty sure I purchased the season pass for that. Those I don't know if those were delayed. They could have been. Those I love those season passes. That DLC. That was great, especially because of what it added. I mean, it added the jetpack, which was freaking awesome. That was in the first one too. That was awesome. That transformed that game so effectively. For just being able to explore and have fun and the chaos. Oh, that was great. The Thumper stuff that they added in the second one, I didn't really care for that. I mean, it was vehicle based. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Vehicles are fine, but you know, I like just going around and blowing shit up myself. And then in the third one, you got the lightning gun. That you fully upgrade that thing. That's a terror. The only disappointment about that is it's technically so late in the game that you can't use it in other things. Like you'd have to start a new game, and I think I did when I was that. I'm trying to remember exactly how I did that. I think I did streams in that, and I did those DLC early so I could get some of the stuff early. And it was awesome. So awesome having that. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, I've been lucky with some of that stuff. I know, so this will be great for those people that have been not so lucky. And it is also just the whole. In a way, fundamentally, what it's saying is we're calling for transparency, and honesty in the sense of being responsible, which is a kind of honesty. That this is the guy, and it already has him. Okay, that's fine. I like. Well, no, it's so. Oh, okay, I see. So it's just based on the stars. Okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. Give me control of that algorithm. That says everything is a 3, but he doesn't like this push down one. So it's pushed down to 4. He likes these, so push it up to 2. He really likes this push up to 1. I like that, but give me control of that. Let me have an auto assign where I have control of that, and I can just auto assign it for all that. Maybe have it where I can control what the center is. Okay, so it's not just based on 3, although it does make sense for that. Then you're going up to 1, going down to 5. But make it where let me center it on 4. So if there's something that he really hates, he just doesn't do it. Give me that control. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But also then let me for what the skills are. He's got a skill of 15 here, so it's colored silver. And this one is 50. Holy crap. Here, 16. So actually one above 15. So this is almost a 1. Then let me control that so I can just hit auto and it automatically assigns for all of them. I was like, that would be such a good, and that's not even a major, that's quality of life. That's quality of life feature, especially because I now know you have this. you know what? I need to do this. I need to do this. Okay, I need to now stop right now. Go to where's the right place? Yeah. Here, here, here. Okay, I need to open up my notes because I actually do still have notes. Because as I've talked about before, I do want to review. Hang on. There. I want to be able to, because I'm shifting over and I'm not touching the mic. I want to make sure I can be heard. So I need to see OBS, and that also cuts off the audio here. But here, 2024, 3. Technically, it's the 22nd, but this video comes out on the 23rd. That'll help me find it. Discovered when a new settler arrived, the job priority here was semi-intelligently, and I say semi-intelligent. I mean, technically it is intelligently set because it is, some intelligence has been applied here automatically, but semi because it's stupid. I think it's stupid. I think it's incomplete. I don't think it's as well thought out. Why is it only based on the stars and not on the actual skill levels? The skill levels are the more important thing. The stars are only relevant for them being their happiness with it, and also how quickly they advance the skill. The skill level itself is far more important, so it is only semi-intelligent. But anyway, applied for the settler. It is based on the stars, so aptitude for the abilities, for the jobs, rather than the more relevant and appropriate skill level, but it is still taking something into account rather than just making everything a 3. It is centered on 3, though, so the stars push it up or down. And also I just want to point out, it shouldn't be centered on 3. It should be centered on 0 then. And so it's -1, -2 for the red stars, and +1, +2 for the yellow stars. That's a complaint I had going all the way back to the start of this. With the, if you look at my original early access review, just when it entered into early access, I had that complaint even then, as I recall. I may not have put it in the review, but I know I at least talked about it in a playthrough videos. Yeah. Okay. I at least talked about it then because that makes way more sense, because it is a neutral is 3, and then it's like, okay, this is a high priority, that's 1 and 2, and then it's like, no, that's low priority, -1, -2. So doing this, it makes so much more sense, because it is clearly centered on 3, centered on 0. Just centered on 0. That makes far more sense. It's part of the reason why, even though I haven't done a review for a while, the recommendation categories I use are centered on 0. And it's not a score. They're categories. I just am using numbers there, but it's centered on 0. Because above 0 is, I'm not necessarily recommending a game, because 1 is I fail to recommend a game, but it's like I am having some fun, it's just got a lot of problems. And then 2, 3, and 4 is I'm recommending the game. It's all positive there. The negative is I'm not recommending the game, or I'm recommending against the game. So it might be I'm failing to recommend the game, but I don't like it because I'm not enjoying it, but there's not something truly wrong with it. It's just not fun. I'm not sure where this would either be this game. And right now I am biased because I'm because this is still impacting me, what I've just found here, and it does annoy me. This would probably be a 0 or -1 is what I'm feeling right now, where it's not to a recommend against. That's why it's a -2. But I fail to recommend, where it's like, there's just so many things where it's like, it shouldn't be this way. They should be doing it a different way, and need to finish off this note. Parenthetically, should be centered on 0 then, rather than 3. And just to be clear, then the whole disabled is still blank. Because blank is not a number. Okay. What is truly annoying about this is the algorithm for setting this stuff is not available to the player. I cannot alter this, such as to have it consider, there we go, skill level. Nor can I call upon it to automatically apply the rules set. The rules later, so we move set. Would be nice to have a button to reset the priorities to this logic, custom logic to be clear, rather than needing to read through all the numbers myself. So this is one of those, and I do get that there are plenty of people. Okay, I got plenty of stuff to do. Hang on, just okay. I can just close that folder. Okay, so this is one of those things that with me, this is actually very dangerous. I don't know how many other. I know I'm not unique in this. I just don't know how many other people like this. This is one of those. Okay, you've given me one element here. You've given me one thread. I'm pulling on it. I pull on threads. Okay, I pull on. So if this was, and I'm clicking back in because I'm back at the laptop completely. So here, let me put this back to where it was. So it came in like this. Okay, you have the ability for this to be done by an algorithm, not just. So there's rules that go into this. It's based on those stars, the eager, passionate. What? What the hell? Priority normal. It's at 1. What the hell is this? Priority 4 is not lowest. What the hell does it think 5 is? Oh, it has no idea what it's doing. It's not reading the numbers correct. I'm not even sure how I can report this, by the way. At least not with the in-game tool, and I don't feel... I have not been getting press releases concerning this game for a long time. So I don't know how I could reach out, short of the report bug tool. But this is a bug. Where it should be here. If I do that, see high and now highest. Okay, I shouldn't have had to do that. But anyway, if it was just the 3s, it's like, okay, it's just setting it to the center, moving on, I have to do it all myself. But now it's like, oh, no, there is logic here. So now I have a thread to pull on. And that thread is, okay, it should be based on skill level, it shouldn't be based just on aptitude, or it should be based on both. And also, this should be exposed to the player. I should be able to hit a button and be like, to control all of this in-game, okay? If you're going to say, oh, well, the next major update is supposed to bring mods. Great. That's lovely. But this needs to be in the game. I shouldn't have to seek it out. Because it's already in the game. This exists in the game right now. But it's only the developers that have control over this. I need this. I'm the player. I should have this control. And then it's also because, especially with how much there is here, give me a button either for like everyone or, everyone and also individuals. So it's like I can make him whatever the hell I want. I can just hit auto to put it back where there was some emergency. I need everybody working on growing stuff, for example. So it's like focus on that and then auto. Put everyone back. That's what we need. That is what should be here. And now that they've done a little bit, it's like, okay, give it to me. Give it to me. I know this is possible. You have the technology partially implemented. Give us full implementation. Full. Everything. Now, hang on. I let me take care of this stuff, though. Well, that's true. Technically, I want them. That. Yeah, I'll leave it at 3s. Because, Actually, that one should be at 3, that at 4. I think these are also 4. Because I prefer to go by the actual skill level. But yeah, so that's okay. And I don't mind leaving that at 1 because he's really happy with it. You know what? Actually, I'll bump these up 2 because he's got the skill to put it to the 2, but then with the star a little bit higher. But anyway, so what I was going to get to is here that I had a thread to pull on, all right? So you are screwed. I am going to pull on this. I made that note so that when I get to reviewing this game at release, whenever the hell that's going to be, that is something that I can come back and be like, yeah, why isn't it doing this? Okay, this has been the case for how long? So, yeah, I mean, but this I can't complain about yet. I don't have a thread to pull on here because I've talked about how, especially with the domesticated animals, I want to be able to say, show me just the dog, show me just the dogs that are over a certain age, show me just female dogs, show me just the male dogs all over a certain. I want to be able to filter this, all right? I've been doing enough SQL work, SQL work, for my actual job for years now. Jeez, I guess it has been years. That's like I could, if I had this as a table, I could write a query to do it. I'm not saying you give me a SQL query, that level of power, but give me an interface that can do some of that. So it is, I'm not just sorting, although I should have that as well. Give me the ability to say, to select, I want to see, like click here or something, it's like, show me just the sheep. Then age, greater than, lower than, or even just mature versus young. Filter by assigned to, but all that, so that I can say, hey, this cat is really freaking old. So let's slaughter it. It's like, that wouldn't be the case, it would be more so with the cattle. But it's like, this one, 2 years is actually, that is kind of old. I got 2-year-olds here. They are domesticated. But it's still, it's like, all right, they're old enough. It's over 2 years old, so give me that. Let's slaughter them. And here, let's actually, look at this. Okay, so the oldest I have is a cat, a dog, 2 dogs, cattle, dog, goat. Oh, wow, I got an old goat. Actually, I have quite a few that are over 2 years old. Okay, so that actually would be really neat. Let me just filter down to show me everything over 2 years old. All right, which would just be from glory up. So that, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so 14. Instead of this massive list, show me just 14. Because I want everyone over 2 years old. Okay? Now I don't want to include cats or dogs, because they're just pets. They're not, I'm not treating them as food. So now we go from 14 to 1, 2, 3. You know what, asses? I shouldn't include them either. They're work animals. They're pack animals. So that's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've now cut in half by just excluding certain animals. Right? It's like, I should be able to do that. I should also then have it grouping male and female because, and instead I have to go into animal like this, because obviously I want to keep one of each, at least one of each. Make certain of that. It's like, give me these queries. But because all we have is basic filtering, all we have is that, just literally single term filtering. That is not a thread. I cannot pull on that to say you should really give me all this. But if they give me one of them, just one, that's a thread to pull on. Now, to be fair, I don't think they can get away with that not filter. No. If they gave filtering, I think they would have to be everything. So here, open them back up. I think that if they did filtering, they would have to give filtering by animal type and by age. I think that there would be no way to avoid that. Turn all those on. Because I don't know how you could ever justify, oh yeah, we'll do it for animal, but we're not going to do it for age. No, I don't think they could justify that. They could also, do assign to. It's like, but mainly it's these two, animal and age, that they will, if they were to do any filtering, they would have to do it on that. And animal would be a little complicated because it's not just animal type, but also the sex. But if they then did that, now the thread I could pull on maybe, but it would Well, no, it wouldn't be a thread there, but it would be a wish list kind of thing then is, okay, let me algorithmically set then for the slaughter of these animals. So that dogs and cats are never slaughtered. Neither are asses, but cattle are when they reach this certain thing, but also be able to like toggle on something. That can be just a general toggle on that it can never kill. To guarantee you always have at least one male, at least one female when it comes to slaughter. Okay? Like that they would also build in there. And to prioritize slaughtering the oldest first. The oldest mature, but you could also then have a toggle on to exclude the young. So there's lots of dogs here. Male and female. So in theory, you could be like, all right, let's slaughter all of the mature dogs because there's enough between there's 6, 3 female, 3 male of the young ones that they'll grow up and then be able to repopulate. That's not a problem. I could see that argument. But it's like, that would be wish list thing even if they put the filters in here. This, because they put it in with any amount of logical control, the moment they did it once, I get the whole thing. Nope, you give it all. Give it all to me. And what's more, that would be really good if they did that, is to allow you to then have like presets. Because for some people, they do, like during winter, they emphasize indoor activities. During summer, they emphasize outdoor activities. And does kind of follow that these are the outdoor activities here, these are the indoor activities. Okay? But if you did that, make it so you can now change those priorities. Or like have a winter preset, a summer preset. A food preset, so it emphasizes getting food done. And so we have fishing, growing, harvesting, animal husbandry, cut plants, and cooking, which is such a ridiculously long list. It should be consolidated. But you can do that because, hey, I really need food produce. You hit that and it figures out based on that, and then maybe it ignores some of the others. Right? Do stuff like that. It would be great because now I'm not going through and trying to interpret this god-awful mess, because it is a mess. I'm sorry, this is such a freaking rant, but it is so necessary. Because it is a mess. Look at, because you've got the color coding of the numbers, you got the color coding of the boxes, you have the stars that are not only numbered but also color coded. I mean, it is a freaking mess. There's what is it now? I think it's 16. Is it 16 across? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20 fucking 3 of these things. I'm not even going to apologize for that language, okay? Because it is an exclamation on this. All right? It's being used as that more so than the actual curse. It is a freaking exclamation. Why the hell are there 23 of these? Especially when so many of them relate to the same damn thing. Like taking care of the plants is growing and harvesting. Those are the same thing. All right? Why are these separate? No, I mean legitimately, why are they separate? You would not be growing plants without the intent of harvesting them. Even if it's we're, letting them go to seed. You still have, all right, then that's a choice to not harvest them or harvest at a specific time. All right, it's the same thing. It's part of the growing process. Cycle of life. The cycle of life doesn't end. It's a circle. So it would have grow and harvest together. But no, let's make it separate. Why? Cut plants. That's part of harvesting. All right? Now, if you want to make it cutting trees, so plant life, so crops versus trees, that's fine. That's not what this is. That is not what this is. Because it's cutting plants and chopping down trees. Cutting plants is part of harvesting. It's part of harvesting. So that is so confusing. And also, why is it over here? Why is animal husbandry and mining separate? I mean, this should not be 23, okay? It should not be. There should be stewardship as one thing, which is steward and haul. I'm just looking to see. That might be it. Steward and haul. Technically, urgent haul would also be under there. But urgent haul is weird. I'm not sure what you'd want to consider patient, tending, and convalescing. But those can also be, patient and convalescing would be the same thing. Actually, yeah, wait, hang on. Awaiting wound treatment. Convalescing while wounds heal. They should be in a group that you can then control underneath. Tending, because that is external. Patient and convalesce are internal, so they are for whoever it is, whoever the settler is. Tending is not. That's somebody else coming over and helping. But it's, that should be consolidated. Urgent halt, steward, and halt, consolidate. Jailer can be its own thing, because I'm not sure what you'd tie that into. But hunting can potentially be its own thing, but construction and mining actually could go together. Because those are both dealing with the larger voxels. Fishing and hunting would go together. At least they can. Well, maybe not, because fishing is animal handling. So I guess fishing might be... Well, fishing can... That one is weird. Maybe you would want just an animal thing, where it's like hunting, fishing, and animal husbandry go together. Yeah, because slaughtering. Slaughtering should be under, like, cooking, technically. Because, I mean, it's like it's not unreasonable that one person may kill the animal and may also kill and field dress them, but then somebody else is actually handling the slaughtering, like what is going on at these tables, the butchering table. That's not unreasonable to me. That this is a specialized enough skill that is somebody else will be doing that. Cook out of that. But grow, harvest, cut plants, those should all be together because it's all botany. Mining could go with construction. Crafting, craft, smithing, carpentry, tailoring, alchemy. That's all crafting. That's all a type of crafting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there should be 1. So that already gets us. That removes 4, so it gets us down to 19. And I get, they do have different separate skills here, but that's, as I talked about before, 1 crafting, and you can have underneath crafting, you can have priorities, specializations. You do it that way, so it's not 23. It's also, they might add more. In fact, they're going to. They'd have to. Oh my god, they'd have to for that. Son of a... I saw, it's not an update, but they're working on fire. And being able to have fire, where things catch fire and fire spread, they're going to have a priority for attending to that. What would they do? That can't be under steward. It's too low a priority. It would have to be up here. It would have to be like the jailer. So it'll have to go to 24 to handle that. Son of a... Yeah. I am pulling on that thread. This is already a thread because it's a freaking mess. But now also the automatic priority stuff. Moving on. Back to the news, and that'll just go because nope. I'm crossing my arms. I've ranted about the game enough. The other thing, and finding a good source on this one is going to be a little tricky. The DOJ has apparently sent a request for a judge, and this is part of it, because it's like, part of it was like rumor, part of it is what was actually said. There's I think an actual statement from the actual request that was filed. Finding that it's all going to be such a mess. But apparently the DOJ has requested a judge order Google to divest itself of Chrome. And I think I also saw to then remain out of the browser market for so many years. Like 5 years, 7 years, something like that. And this is significant, but it's also one of those things that, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily like the idea of any government interfering with the operations of businesses, but this is one of those where to be honest, the industry should have revolted against Google years ago over Chrome. Chrome is, in fact, a problem. So there are, and I wish I knew specific examples, but I saw this years ago. Well, I do kind of know one that is a specific example. But Google does abuse its power. All right? Because Chrome and Chromium, the underlying open source project, is so used, is so dominant, that even though there are certain web standards, Google will basically decide, nah, we're not doing those. They'll be party to developing these standards. They will still be like, nah, we're just going to do it our own way. Which means that now the internet has 2 standards. The internationally accepted standards and the Chromium standards. That's a problem. And that kind of divesting, so it's like selling off Chrome, so now it's handled by somebody else, so that somebody else doesn't have a reason to serve Google, and what stupid shit they do means that, hey, they may start actually following the standard, the widely accepted international standards. And yes, some of these are international. There are international bodies behind some of the stuff. But yeah, it's one specific example. This is a little different. But this goes back, I'm actually going to save here because I'm heated. The game heated me up so much from that, and now it's also spilling over into this. And I know we did so little in the game, but how long? Wow, I would not have been surprised if I was past 50 minutes already. Yes, that did just say. Yeah, I'll do this much so it at least stays in the game. This was years ago when Microsoft first released Edge, which was its own browser engine. They later moved it over to Chromium, but it was its own browser engine. And by the way, this is also part of the whole web standards thing, where some developers for websites and web applications, they do not, like, I think Mozilla's engine is still called Gecko. At one point, I think it was. Anyway. They're actually developers that they will develop for Chromium and not Gecko. And they'll just be like, well, you need to be using Chrome. Because it is that dominant. Now, true, in some cases, that's because they don't have the money to invest in developers for everything. But it does also expose the huge issue that why aren't they just applying the international standards? Because it doesn't matter that Chrome is so powerful that you need to develop to Chrome there. Well, what about people that are using this? I don't know, but let's just assume that Gecko is following the actual international web standards. And I'm not saying international to say that it is like truly this higher, but no, but that the groups that set those standards, they are international groups. That's my point there. I should probably stop saying international groups though, because I'm that may inappropriately put weight to that I don't mean it to have. Just a established standards. If Mozilla is following those, but you're developing for Chrome's non-standard stuff, but there can be a standard way of doing it. You're now hurting your customer that could use Mozilla because Google has so inappropriately handled the situation. It has so decided, now we're just going to do things our own way, even though we do have a voice. That's the thing about some of this that pisses me off the most. Google has the ability to help set those standards. It is involved. It is one of the corporations in those groups, in such groups as those. And they're like, oh yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. We're not doing any of it. We're doing our own thing. So why would you? And one example that is older with Edge, that I was getting to, their browser engine was freaking awesome for video playback. It was so efficient. It was more efficient at playing YouTube videos than Chrome. So what did Google do? Because Google owns YouTube as well. It put a special transparent object over the YouTube videos. Why did they do this? Because it tricked Edge to not use its video acceleration pathways. So it forced it to be less efficient. This is straight up anti-competitive practice. It is. That technically, you might have been able to go to court. Microsoft might have been able to go to court and say, this is illegal. That this is anti-competitive, because it is not to benefit the user. It is purely to hurt us. This doesn't provide any benefit. They're only doing it for this. And that could be considered anti-competitive. I'm not sure if they would have won. Certainly Microsoft decided it's not worth it. Because it wouldn't be surprising if Microsoft is also guilty of some of that stuff. So it's like, certain level of mutually assured destruction. But it still is a problem. But it's like, that's exactly something Google does. But a more modern example that I don't know as well, JPEG XL. And that is actually when Google was involved in the development of that standard. But they don't want to support it in Chrome. I think that a few months ago they did add something that hinted that they might be deciding, all right, yeah, we'll start supporting JPEG XL in Chrome. But they actually had a hand in developing it. Now, true, not necessarily the Chrome side of the business, but part of Google was in on that. I mean, just think of how those employees would feel. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, it's this great format because, it's so much more efficient than JPEG, but we've got lossless transcoding, so you can just convert JPEG to JPEG XL, no quality loss at all, and it'll just be a smaller file. It has this advantage and that advantage. It has the potential to replace PNG because it does have a lossless mode, but it still can be very good for lossy. It's great. It's awesome. Oh, that's wonderful, fellow Google employee. Well, we're banning it. We're not going to use it at all in Chrome, so it'll never succeed. Well, but I did all this hard work. Yeah, but we don't care. Why the hell am I working here? I mean, it's like, how is that not killing your own company's morale? But Google don't care. But that would have been something that potentially, because JPEG XL does have a lot of things going for it, the only thing that comes close to competing with it, from what I've seen for modern image formats, is the image format derived from the AV1 encoder, the AV1 codec. But AV1 I consider to be a piece of garbage. So, and I do think that lossless transcode is a killer feature. I think JPEG XL also has better streaming. So it'll stream in a low quality image and then the detail comes in, which is great for web browsers. I don't think AVIF has that. But no, and AV1 it is garbage. I'm sorry, it doesn't preserve detail. It's a pain in the ass. The way I'd put it with AV1 is it was designed for streamers and by streamers, and by that I mean like YouTube and Netflix, who don't necessarily care about high fidelity. So it was not developed. I mean, it's like the MPEG, like we've got MPEG 2, MPEG 4, H.264, H.265, and now H.266 is coming. Technically it is out. That's from MPEG, the Motion Picture Encoding Group. They care about film, which is very different from streaming. I mean, yes, you are streaming film, but MPEG is going to care about, okay, how do we preserve film grain accurately? How do we preserve film detail accurately? AV1 doesn't care. It's set up to remove film grain, and then just synthesizes it on top. But the problem is that film grain will change throughout a film. So it's really not. It's designed for very clean sources, or sources where you don't care if you lose the noise, which Netflix doesn't care. It wants to be able to send the least amount of data. So I guess one way to put it is VCC, H.266, versatile. No, VVC. I think it is. I know it's V and C, I just don't remember which one is double. It was like the versatile video codecs of VVC. 266. I don't know if this is necessarily planned, but potentially that could go to Blu-ray. AV1 will never go to Blu-ray. Because you would have to because it's not designed to preserve the detail that Blu-ray and Blu-ray, both regular and 4K, they're meant to preserve. H.264 does a very good job preserving detail. So does H.265, which is what 4K uses. Also, 265 is better at 10-bit. 264 can do 4K. Anyone who tells you otherwise hasn't looked at the spec. They did expand it up to that. I think it even goes to 8K. But 265 is much better with 10-bit color depth than 264 is. So there's, yeah. But 266 should be even better than that. And it's also actually still very good at low bit rates. But I'll bet that it could potentially be used on a future, 8K Blu-ray. I believe that Blu-ray is going to be the final physical medium. Because what would be past that but discs that use ultraviolet and are holographic, but that's like those potentially, and they've already developed those, could potentially have hundreds of terabytes. You're not doing that. No one's going to need that. I think for movies and such, Blu-ray would probably be the final, because 50 gig for regular Blu-ray should be plenty. And the with the 4K, because it's 25 gig per layer. 2 layers is standard. Like every Blu-ray player can handle that. 3 layers and more might take a special drive, special laser to handle that focusing and such. So that's where like the 4Ks are 100 gig, 125 gig. There might be some that are 150 gig, where they have that many more layers. But it's that should be plenty, and even then they are throwing more bits at this stuff than is necessarily needed, except for certain classics. So I actually have one movie here, One Silent, One Deep. That thing is like 40 megabit. A lot of movies, though, modern movies, are like 25 to 30 megabit because the film grain in Runtime Run Deep is so high. And they chose to preserve it. The copy that I have, they chose to preserve that, which they should. Modern things, there's far less film grain or photon noise because sometimes it's completely filmed digitally, so it's the grain isn't going to change from scene to scene because it's always the same sensor. But there can still be characteristics that produce noise. I've definitely gone off the topic. But yes, because and why is Chrome not supporting JPEG XL? I think it's because Google may have the mandate for their own internal WebP format that it was supposed to be a format to compete with PNG. I mean, it's funny. JPEG, PNG, and GIF are still the standard for images on the internet, and they date back to like the 90s or 80s. Even. All right, that's how old they are. Depending, they're older than people listening to this, listening to my rant. So WebP is supposed to be new. It's supposed to provide these extra features that people would want, and so blah blah blah. But it's never caught on. JPEG XL has a better chance of catching on because its relation to JPEG, the lossless transcoding capability. And it is superior to WebP, but Google, I could believe it. It's say, well, no, we want to keep supporting WebP. Why would we support its competitor here? Because it's better. But that's not necessarily Chrome's interest. That's Google's interest. Because it might not be the group that does Chrome that's worked on WebP. So yeah, divesting it might not be a bad thing for the internet as a whole. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what comes of that. Because Google may fight against it. And there were other things as well. I also saw something. Google is actually in violation of European laws because of things like they're supposed to be providing certain data to other search providers to help them improve their products because of how dominant it is, and the fact that Google, if you buy an Android phone, Chrome is default installed, and Google is the default search engine. They are actually, by European law, required to allow somebody to if they install another browser, to easily have that browser set as the default. And they are required by European law to make it easy to change the default search provider. Google has done neither. Yeah. So this will be interesting because if the judge does okay that rule, that does decide, yes, Google, you do have to do this, that could be major because it first off, just Google having to do that. But second, it may then lead to other things. And it would not just be Google. Amazon would be hit by this. Facebook potentially. Microsoft absolutely. I mean, it's wild. And also, I'll share this for why Amazon also being hit by this would potentially be a good thing. This happened to me a couple weeks ago. I ordered something. It was a TV show, complete series. It came. I've never seen DVD cases that badly damaged. Okay, the DVDs were all fine, all of them were fine. But there was one. I'm serious. I've never seen one that badly damaged. I have seen cracks where the integrity was not completely gone, but this was like the spine wasn't completely attached anymore in certain places. It was so bad. So obviously, I want a replacement. Log into Amazon to try to request refund or replacement. Well, replacement isn't an option. It's not giving me the option, only a refund. Well, and it's like, well, I don't want a refund. I want the product, but I want what I paid for, which was a new, pristine copy. Right? I didn't just pay for the discs, which were in good shape. I paid for the cases as well. I want good cases. Nope. So, I didn't feel like trying to contact their support. I didn't, because it's like, I just need to send a message. I don't need to do a stupid chat thing, okay? That's another thing that's so freaking annoying. Anyway, so what I do? Fortunately, it was still available at about the same price. So I just ordered a second set so I could change out the cases, so I could get what I originally purchased, which was, I placed an order for it in pristine, new pristine. That's what I ordered. Would then refund the second. right? Once I shuffled, and by the way, the second set also came with cases broken. Fortunately, between them, I had what I needed. Send that back. Refund that. They give me a credit on the Amazon account, not on the credit card. So they kept the money for the second one. That is unethical. I don't know if that is actually illegal, but I know that's unethical. Because they basically forced me into a situation because I couldn't order a replacement. Couldn't request a replacement. They forced me into a situation where in order to get what I should have had initially, okay, my expectation was for it to come pristine. It did not. Okay, you need to take care of this. We're not going to take care of it. All right, now I'm having to go out of my way to do the second order, to then do the shuffling between stuff, which is what I would have done if they sent a replacement, would have gotten it, made sure I had everything good, sent back the damaged product, because that's not what I ordered, and it's not what anyone else is ordering either. Instead, I do the whole, and then they kept the money on me. They kept the money anyway. Because it's now, because it stayed in their system, they could use it for whatever. Even if it was I would complain, it's like, no, that needed to be a credit on my credit card. It shouldn't have been kept on the account like that. They're like, oh, okay, we'll take care. Even if that were the case, it still is the whole, well, that contributed to, like, their interest, which, to be fair, would have been minor interest. And there's no investment, no savings account that would have given them much interest. That's fine. But still is, they have no right to that. I do. They don't. I do. So, yeah. And I'll be honest, I think that the reason why Amazon would do something like that, because that is unethical. To my judgment, that's unethical. You can disagree with me. That's fine. I don't mind. Go ahead and disagree with me. In my opinion, that's unethical. I think the only reason that they are comfortable trying something like that is they are so large. It's like, what would they do? I mean, if I took them to small claims court, they could bury me in it, or they just ignore it. And just be like, all right, fine, here it is. They don't need to care. They don't need to care. So and Google's in the same kind of spot. They don't need to care about a lot of this. So they just do what they want. So yeah, I do. This could be very interesting. I think most likely the judge will not pass that order to Google. The judge will not say that they must divest. It is just very interesting and potentially necessary that Google and these other companies start being broken up. That they have too much power with some of this. Yeah, I mean, because it is also, there was something I saw where it's like, all these browsers, because people are like, oh, I hate Chrome, because they're like doing things to get rid of ad blocks, and it's like, all right, I'm going to go over to Brave. It's like, Brave is still Chromium based. It's like, there are things that they've done that have changed it, but it's still based on Chromium. So you're not that far away from Chrome. Yeah, and it's just, I want to say Firefox and its forks are, well, I know those are not Chromium, and then I think Opera is not either, and I think that's it. That there's fundamentally just 3 web browsers, at least popular, well-known of web browsers left today. Chromium, Firefox, and it might be Gecko is the name of that engine, I don't remember, and then whatever Opera's engine is, that's it. That's not really great, especially when it is one of them is like 90% of the market. And it's just because people know Google. And it's the same kind of thing with search engines. With Google and Bing. Yeah, Bing would actually be one thing that if this were to go through and then Microsoft got targeted, Bing would absolutely be one of the things targeted. That it would be like, no, you have to divest of that. Well, maybe not Bing itself, but the way that Bing is integrated into Windows, that would also be considered a problem. Where it's like, well, no, you need to allow people to disable that, or at least you need to allow people to easily change it, so that you can use Google if you want that integrated instead, or something else like DuckDuckGo. I know there are others; they're just not coming to mind. But it's like you need to be able to offer that, which. So long as Bing is part of Microsoft, they have no desire to do that. They desire to have it integrated. Divesting, okay, now they have a reason to be, because it's a separate entity now. Now they have a reason to work with something else. And there's other things too, like Disney could be hit by something like that too, because they do creative accounting, where they will. And I know I'm going so far afield, but it's just this likely will not happen. All right, I strongly doubt it will happen. But it's just that there are various examples where companies are abusing their position to give themselves an advantage. So Disney, I don't remember what it was, but I think it was some of the movies that are doing terrible at the box office. So what they do to hide that is they will cut a deal to have it streaming on Disney Plus. So Disney Plus is basically writing a check then to Disney Film, so that now it's say, oh yes, we actually made hundreds of millions of dollars thanks to this deal. It's like, well, but that money was already Disney money. You just moved it from one pocket to another. So it's not that the movie is not a failure. No, it's still a failure. You've just hidden this now. It is, but if it was separate, because now that if it, and this is just as a hypothetical, because as I said, there's no way this would happen, but if you had Disney Plus separate completely, the streaming site separate from the film production, now there'd have to actually be a check to go from one to another. So Disney Plus would probably be like, what were your numbers? These are our numbers. Yeah, we're not paying for that. That's not going to get, we're certainly not paying you that much money for it, because why? It wouldn't benefit us. We're not going to get that back in subscribers. So yeah, it's, yeah. As I said, this isn't going to happen. These companies will, even if Google were given that order, you know what would end up happening most likely? Even if that would happen, they would appeal that, and they would drag it out as long as possible until the DOJ changed its mind. That's what happens with stuff. And it's, I'm not saying that as, I think the term is black pill. I'm not saying it as that. Because it's stuff where it's like, no, it would be good for this to happen. And in some ways, it's, if the public were better aware of some of the shenanigans, like the JPEG XL thing. That's probably the best example, modern example with Google. That would really change things, because if Google were like, oh, wait, people realize we're doing this stuff? Oh, that's a problem. So, yeah, I mean, it's... and I guess one thing you could also try doing, borrowing from the Amazon story that I shared, maybe just, and don't actually return things, but, maybe, especially with Black Friday coming up, see what happens, like, after you place the order and after it arrives, even if it's in good shape, because you don't need to go through with the return. Just maybe go in and just look to see what your options are, but don't actually return it unless you need to, okay? Don't return, don't refund it, don't be unethical like that, okay? Just look and see what the options are, and see if replacement is an option, because it wasn't there, as I recall. It was only a refund that was offered to me. So it's like, do you confirm you want the refund? It's like, well, no, I want a replacement. Let me have a replacement. Oh, it also, on the second one, when I did return that, I could exchange for something else, not for what I ordered. It's like, this is a racket, and it's clearly unethical. And it would be funny if people were to start looking at that and realizing, wait a minute, this isn't right. Because then there'd be public pressure. Because then Amazon would have to at least answer the question of, why are you not allowing people to get a replacement when the product they are given is faulty? It would be wild. And I'm just thinking of one other thing. And it's like, Amazon is not really worth it. I once had an order from Barnes & Noble. The books were in perfect shape. The box was trashed. But I had no reason to get a refund or anything. But I did reach out to Barnes & Noble and share pictures with them, because it's like, I don't think this is how you want your products arriving for people. And I actually get a response back saying, thank you. Yes, this is unacceptable. We're passing this on to the right people, so this can be taken care of. It's like, it does, when something is wrong, it does count to do something. But unfortunately, I don't think Amazon has just a generic contact kind of thing anymore. They used to years ago, but now it's all just that chat that is going to be in one ear out the other, probably, for a lot of it. All right. Yeah. I'm sorry, this was very ranty, but man, there was stuff to rant about. And I had to make notes on the game anyway. I mean, when is this game coming out of early access? That's going to be wild. Oh, man, because I'm going to go at it, and it's going to deserve it. Although, hang on, one thing I will share. This may come up next month. I might stop with this. Stop doing the weekly streams in this. If Titan Quest 2 is supposed to come out in early access next month, as I recall, I might be wrong on that. My memory might be failing me on that. And I do intend to purchase it. I do have the intention to do so. Because I enjoy Titan Quest 1, and though there are red flags for me, well, yellow flags. Not red flags, yellow flags. Things that have me concerned about Titan Quest 2. Actually, no, there are some red flags as well. That it's looking more like it's derivative Path of Exile than Titan Quest. I think I may start doing that for the weekly. If I do get that, I might do it. I might move off of this to go to that. We shall see. I'm just acknowledging that may happen sometime in the next month. So that has been a very ranty video, and we'll see if next week is as ranty. I kinda hope not. See you then.